Hello, and thank you for joining us on Classic Vinyl Podcast. It's the podcast where we listen to and review songs and albums from the classic vinyl era of the 60s and 70s. I am one of your hosts, Justin, and whether he's drunk or dead, he really ain't too sure. Here's my co-host, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm messed up.
Yes, you are. That happens in the basement studio, doesn't it?
That will happen, especially when you're a blind man.
Well, and it's kind of funny because you're not a drinker or anything.
Or dead, as far as I know.
Yeah, so being the fact that you're messed up is really just in your head.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so today we're doing Deep Purple and a song of theirs from 1972 called When a Blind Man Cries. This was suggested to us by Bill. He sent in the email to classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. Bill did not tell me where he was from, so...
That's all right, Bill. This is a humdinger of a song. Thank you for suggesting it.
Yeah, so let's go into a little history about the band Deep Purple first. They're an English rock band, was formed in London way back in 1968, and they are one of the bands that are considered to be one of the main pioneers of heavy metal and hard rock. You can see that. I think them and Black Sabbath both are kind of fit that bill, but the funny thing is the band actually disputes that and says, no, we're just a heavy blues rock band. Whatever you want to call it. I know they've been influential on a number of bands, but Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath really from the early to mid 70s really led everything. So this band sold over 100 million albums worldwide. They've released a total of 23 studio albums, 43 live albums, 26 compilation albums, and 58 singles. In the U.S., 11 albums have been in the top 100, with 5 of those albums being in the top 20. Their top charting album is probably no surprise. It was the 1970 album Machine Head, which hit number 7. And I think by far and away, that is their most popular and most well-known album nowadays, and was then, obviously, as well. In the UK, 20 albums were in the top 100, 13 of those in the top 20, and 8 albums in the top 10. Fireball and Machine Head both hit number 1 in the charts. They also have 3 live albums in the UK that were in the top 20. In the US, they had 8 singles in the top 100, with only 2 songs in the top 10, Hush and Smoke on the Water, both charting at number 4. And I would say Smoke on the Water is probably by far their most well-known song nowadays. And for me, as much as I love Deep Purple, it's the one song I don't want to hear anymore. But that happens with those kind of songs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
So in the UK, 12 singles in the top 100, 2 in the top 10, Black Knight and Strange Kind of Woman. Black Knight hit number 2. That's their top charting in the UK, and Strange Kind of Woman number 8. Now in Canada, they had 9 songs in the top 100, 2 in the top 10. Same as here in the US, Hush and Smoke on the Water, but both of those charted at number 2 in Canada. So the Mark I lineup of the band, they released the album The Book of Taliesin and Deep Purple. The Mark II lineup, which brought in Ian Gillan on vocals and Roger Glover on bass, replacing Evan and Simper. And this is arguably, I wouldn't even say arguably, this is their most popular and most successful lineup, the Mark II lineup. But the albums they made with the Mark II lineup are In Rock, Fireball, Machine Head, Made in Japan, and Who Do We Think We Are? Now, the Mark III lineup brought in David Coverdale on vocals. Now, David Coverdale is well known as being the lead singer of Whitesnake, and they've also brought in Glenn Hughes on bass and vocals, replacing Gillan and Glover. And the Mark III albums are Burn and Stormbringer. The Mark IV version of this group is Tommy Bolin on guitar, who replaced Richie Blackmore, and the Mark IV album was Come Taste the Band. There's multiple members in this band all over the place, too many we can even name, but the band really split up in 1976, and they've come together for a ton of reunions. Joe Satriani, Steve Maurice, Don Airy, they've also all been in the band. Those are some popular names. Blackmore, Lord, Pace, Gillan, Glover, and Coverdale, Evans, and Hughes. All of those guys were inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as Deep Purple in 2016. So kind of your Mark II and your Mark III lineup, basically, is what was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So do you want to review the song?
Let's review the song.
And now it's time for the song review.
So Bill wanted us to do Deep Purple, When a Blind Man Cries. Now, Tyler, before today, what is your history with this song?
I've never heard this song before.
So we listened to it twice today. These are the first 2 times you've heard this song.
That's right. I've heard Deep Purple before, obviously, but in fact, I'm pretty sure we've reviewed Deep Purple before.
We've reviewed, I think we did their album In Rock,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we did a song, but I can't remember what we did. But it was way back in season 1 or season 2.
Yeah.
But obviously, we still got Machine Head to tackle, and
Mm-hmm.
we're busy going through the list people have emailed us in. So we'll eventually get to that album sooner or later. But let me give you a little history on When a Blind Man Cries. So it was released on March 17th of 1972 in the UK on Harvest Records and in the US on Warner Brothers Records. So this song was the B-side of a song called Never Before, which is a song that was on Machine Head. Now, this was a non-album single by Deep Purple, and although it was recorded during the Machine Head sessions, it wasn't included on that album, and that's kind of a common misconception that it was part of that album. It wasn't. It was recorded during that, and it's been on several of the anniversary and various compilation editions of Machine Head, but it was not on the original album. Now, Machine Head itself reached number 7 on the Billboard charts here in the US, number 1 in the UK, and number 1 in Canada. It's certified 2 times platinum here in the US by the RIAA. That album famously includes Smoke on the Water, by far the most popular song, Highway Star, which still gets a ton of radio play, Lazy still gets quite a bit of radio play, and, Smoke on the Water, no matter what you think of it, is a really good song. I always say you don't want to blame the song for being good, that you've heard it too much, but I do suffer from earburn on that song. But obviously, Smoke on Water has one of the most recognizable guitar riffs of all time. So this song was written by Ritchie Blackmore, Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, John Lord, and Ian Pace. So it's written by the whole band. Lead vocals are by Ian Gillan. And as this song was recorded, this was the Mark II lineup. And let me give you that one more time. Ian Gillan on vocals, Ritchie Blackmore on guitars, Roger Glover on bass, John Lord on the Hammond organ, and Ian Pace on drums. This was recorded in July 1970 at IBC Studios in London and produced by Deep Purple themselves and Martin Birch. Now, Martin Birch, he has produced a lot of other artists as well. Obviously, Deep Purple, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Rainbow, Whitesnake. So he was in the heavy rock scene, obviously. So this song's really interesting because this does fit right in with Machine Head. If you know Machine Head as well as I do, I've listened to that album a million times. I mean, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's a really blues-driven song. It features the organ very, very prominently, which a lot of their songs do in rock and Machine Head both. But they decided not to include this song on that album because they felt like the rest of the songs were heavier compared to this song, and it just didn't really fit in. I think that's why it does fit in, but that's just me. So the song runs about 3.5 minutes long, and as far as what the song's about, I mean, it's a slow blues song, and it uses blindness. When a blind man cries, but I don't think the blindness is really talking about a man that can't see. I think it's a metaphor for his suffering and his loneliness. And Ian Gillan has said many a times that this song was more about setting a mood than actually being literal about the lyrics, which that's really got to be tough on you, Tyler, because you want lyrics always to be literal.
Yeah, I want, when you talk about being blind, I want the man to not be able to see.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something you've got to get over.
Yeah. I mean, in my imagination, I say, oh, well, this man's blind because he's crying too much, and so he can't see through the tears.
Yeah, he's blinded by tears.
Yeah.
So this is a song they didn't play live a lot until they started with one of their reunions in 1984, and then it started becoming kind of a staple of their live sets. And it's a good song, but I can see how it might be a mood killer at a concert. Maybe, I don't know. I like the song, but this song did not chart significantly at all in the UK. Did not chart in the US. And guess what? Did not chart in Canada either. It just was not a successful B-side.
It's a sad song.
Yeah, it kind of is a sad song, but I mean, it definitely ranks below all their other songs like Smoke on the Water and even Black Knight. It is a blues-based song, but it's really slow, and I think maybe if you put yourself in the kind of music they were releasing at the time, it just doesn't fit in quite as well. Even though I think it fits in, but
yeah,
I can see their thought by that.
It's very much that blues.
Yeah. So you can find live versions of this on the 1993 remaster of Made in Japan, a very famous live album by Deep Purple. Live versions are typically quite a bit longer. They have a really extended improvisation, just a jam session basically, and they use a heavier guitar tone in them. And the studio versions, kind of like all these bands, is sometimes the studio versions can be a letdown if they're an amazing live band, which Deep Purple's a good live band. There's no doubt about that. So it has been probably covered most famously by Metallica, but also Paul Rogers, who is from Free and Bad Company, did a version of it as well. And it's really recognized nowadays as one of Deep Purple's standout blues ballads. I think it shows how versatile the band could be and how they weren't solely stuck on just the heavier blues rock, and they could do something a little more subdued. But a good song. I couldn't find, as doing my research, I couldn't find where it's been used in any kind of film, television, or movies. It probably has somewhere along the line, but nothing that's been recorded and that I am aware of and can find. But
if it hasn't, that's a tragedy.
Why? You think it's a good slow song? I think
this is a great song.
I've always enjoyed this song, and it's one I didn't discover till years later, till the remaster anniversary editions of Machine Head. But
I didn't discover it until tonight.
I know, and that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah. So thanks, Bill.
So Deep Purple, When a Blind Man Cries. We listened to it twice, and obviously, Tyler, this was your first and second time listening to it. What are your thoughts on this song?
Beautiful song. This song it's a very pure sadness song, very pure blues, and I love it. For as much as I'm not too keen, I think a lot of people aren't too keen on a sad song, but every now and again, a sad song is exactly what you want to listen to. This is a heartbreaker of a song, and I love that. It starts off with the cymbals almost counting in, just the steady count of the cymbals, and the way that the instruments are played throughout this song, specifically that organ. I want to call him the Reverend John Lord on the Hammond organ because it sounds like a funeral march. He plays it. It's so solemn, so really melancholy. Every instrument plays it that way except for the guitar. The guitar is just ringing out above it all, almost like a wail, like a wailing of the wailing of someone in utter grief. The way that this song is written, the way that it's played, it all says the same message. It conveys it all perfectly to me, and that's why I'm going to rate this one really high. But this is a song that's definitely going on my playlist of sad songs, because every once in a while you get in a mood where you just, you want a good tearjerker. This one will draw it out. I mean, the theme of it, a blind man whose eyes don't have the function of sight, but they still have the function of producing tears and crying. And I'm looking at far too much literal for these lyrics.
That's exactly what I was just going to break in with and say, here you go being literal again.
Exactly. So they're not intending that, but I'm taking it and I'm running with it because let me tell you something. I'm really impressed with blind people. And I think that everybody in this world could benefit from going a day being blind, just one day. And I think it would change our perspective forever for the rest of our lives.
A lot of people can see fine, but they're blind.
Exactly. Yeah. But we get so hung up on things that are superficial and we get hung up on the appearance and what that looks like. And we don't really pay attention to things like real character and what the substance of it is and what the texture of things are. And so I think that there's so much to be like, you talk to blind people and they're like, I don't give a crap what a person looks like. I just care how they treat me. I care if they're kind to me, if they're nice, if they're funny. These are the things that are really important. And when you think about it, you're like, okay, how much do I really spend time looking at people compared to how I get treated by them? And which one do I sit there thinking about for hours after I've parted ways with them? Or am I thinking about, wow, I like the way they look? No, I'm thinking about how they treated me, whether I like their personality. These are the things that are really important. And so, I love that there's a song out there about that, about blindness. What a tragedy it is to be blind, but still have those eyes that don't see, able to cry, to express that grief. It's such a beautiful metaphor. So I get a big kick out of this one. Some of the lyrics that really stand out. You quoted one of my favorite ones. If I'm drunk or broken, I don't know for sure. They capture a lot of these things. You can picture that and say, well, feeling of being intoxicated versus, oh, am I about to shut down? Am I about to pass out? That feeling is very similar, and you're not really sure which one's which. Are you just messed up, or you drunk, or broken? You'll find out, I guess, when you will come to. Yeah, one of the other lines that I love is towards the end, he says, when a blind man cries, he feels it from his soul. That there's just no sadder tale. A man who doesn't have his sight, but his eyes are still producing tears. I just, that metaphor, it's so vivid to me, and I love it. So this song is so beautiful and so precious, and it's got a special place in my heart now. And this is one of my favorite Deep Purples, I guess. I'm not familiar with too many Deep Purple songs, but I really like this one. What are your thoughts on this one, Justin?
Well, we talked about you not getting all literal on this thing, and you pretty much took everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is just a blind man.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where you're going, but I mean, I specifically said Ian Gillan said this was not literal. It was a metaphor, but that's fine. That's why you're the lyric guy and you dive into it. But
yeah, Ian Gillan's probably dead.
He's not dead, but I'm guessing you're thinking he's wrong about what he meant.
Well, he's dead to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, the thing is you probably wouldn't have liked the song if you would have known it was a metaphor anyways.
Probably.
So you have to trick yourself into thinking it isn't. But yeah, I like this song. It, like I said, I had listened, especially when I was in high school, I listened to Machine Head all the time. One of my best friends had a 72 Dodge Dart, and it had a tape player in it, and Machine Head got stuck in there. And we took turns driving, but we listened to Machine Head, I think, for 2 years. Yeah. Because it would play, and then it would kick over to side 2 and play, and then kick over to side 1. We couldn't get the tape out, so we listened to Machine Head a lot. I wasn't privy to this song until a later release, like an anniversary release of Machine Head. But when I heard it, my thought was it fits in fine, you know, but the band had said they didn't feel like it was heavy enough, but I think it fits in. And I think what makes it fit in more than anything, obviously, is the vocals from Ian Gillan. There's a reason Mark II is so popular because of Gillan's vocals, in my opinion. But you said it with John Lord and the organ. That's what makes this band stand out. Because I don't know what it is. It's so haunting in these songs. And like you said, this song starts with the cymbals. That's the first thing I wrote down. But it's a slow pace. Organ brings in a haunting, sad feeling. That's the feeling I get from it, literal or metaphorical. It gives me that sad feeling.
Like I said, it sounds like a funeral.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And the guitar is pretty subtle in it. But when you do hear it come out, it is a crying guitar. It sounds like something's crying. This is definitely a lot slower song than all the other songs on Machine Head, but like I said, I think that's why it would have fit in. The drums are really good in this, but it's a very cymbal heavy song, and I think to kind of get that point across, the bass is okay. I wouldn't say it stands out by any means. I think the number one thing in this, past the vocal, which let's talk about the vocal, he's got a very haunting vocal, and it makes you sad at the same time.
It's mournful.
Yeah, it is a mournful vocal, but the organ is what sets the pace in this. And I enjoy this song. It doesn't hold the same place a lot of the other ones on Machine Head do for me, but that's maybe just because of my history with it isn't so advanced and deep. And plus, it wasn't on the original Machine Head, so I didn't have to listen to it for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, because, half of enjoying something is being forced to sit and listen to it, because it's easier to do that than try to figure out how to get the dang tape out of the tape deck.
We finally got it out, but we ruined the tape deck doing it. So we had
did you ruin the tape?
I think we did, but I think the tape, after playing that many times,
it was done.
It was starting to sound a little different than what the album's supposed to sound like. So
there was a lot more static on it than there was supposed to be.
So you want to get the song rating?
Let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, listener, if this is your first episode, I will briefly explain our rating scale at 0 to 10, 10 being the best, and I put this one way up there at a 9. It's not a perfect 10, but this song is a perfect sad song. I don't know that I'd ever give a sad song a 10, but this one is awesome. I loved it. Love the way that it conveys that emotion and the way that it portrays that emotion. It's beautiful. And so that's why I put that one way up there. Where do you put this one, Justin?
Yeah, I'm not as high on this song as you are. I enjoy the song, but it just kind of falls into a decent song from Deep Purple. I still probably like the rest of Machine Head better, with the exception of Smoke on the Water. Even though I love that song, I don't want to hear it anymore. I could go 10, 15 years without hearing it and then get back into it again. I think most people probably understand that, but I rate this song a 7.5. I think it's a very strong song. I don't think, it's not one I'm going to skip. It's on my playlist that I listen to when I'm working. Of course, there's 3,000 songs on that playlist, but this is one of them. So it's obviously not one I'm going to pull off there. I enjoy the song.
It gets played once.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite Deep Purple song, but a really decent song. So, Bill, we appreciate the suggestion. And if anybody has any comments or concerns, want to tell us what you would rate the song or what you think of our rating, or have any songs or albums you'd like us to rate, please send us those suggestions at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And like always, we really appreciate you taking your time to listen to us. So until next time, see you later.
See ya.